Hi, everyone. I'm Eric Bolling. Welcome to Cashin In. Here with us today, Wayne Rogers, Jonathan Hoenig, Michelle Fields, and Jamu Green. Welcome, everybody. But do you remember this?
We refused to let Detroit go bankrupt. I bet on American workers and American ingenuity, and 3 years later, that bet is paying off in a big way.
Well, Detroit went bankrupt despite the auto bailouts. And before our Cashin In City Council deliberates on how to fix our busted towns, let's look at what helped bring down the once mighty Motown. It was the 1950s. Almost 2 million people lived in Detroit, the world leader in auto manufacturing. Jobs were plentiful. The Detroit economy was hot. Enter collective bargaining and union influence over free market capitalism. The unions began to flex their muscles. In 1970, 400,000 GM union workers walked off the auto lines for 67 days. They got what they wanted, a huge wage hike and big concessions. That single event helped seal the fate of the Motor City. Over the next 4 decades, aggressive union demands drove the auto industry away. Jobs fled to non-union states. Detroit's population imploded 60%. The once vibrant economy is now $18 billion in the hole, and unemployment sits at a mind-blowing 16.3%. Detroit is bankrupt now, the largest U.S. city to go bankrupt in our history. Detroit is a perfect example of what happens when union demands prevail over the free market capitalism. A sad story indeed, but we're here to find solutions. Jonathan, let's start with you. How can broke Detroit fix their financial mess, and frankly, many other cities on the verge in America?
Well, they need to start by liquidating these public sector pensions, Eric. And it's the progressive policies, as you pointed out, $18 billion in liabilities on a city that has 700,000 people in it. So there needs to be, in my opinion, 2 phases here. There needs to be a liquidation phase. I mean, these parasites, these public sector unions, they've sucked the host dry. It's dead. We need to liquidate those liabilities and ideally privatize some of this city. I mean, whether it's the art collection or the land itself, Detroit could thrive. But you got to get the government and the public sector unions out of the way. Sure.
Actually, Jonathan, I love that second one, especially because Detroit was built, the infrastructure around Detroit is for a 2 million population, which was its peak in the 60s or so. Now there's about 700,000 people living there. It's way too big for its population. Michelle Fields, do you have any solutions for bankrupt cities across the country, Detroit specifically?
Well, I agree with John on that point, but I think they need to get rid of all of these anti-business policies. Look, Detroit right now has the highest taxes for commercial property, and they have a $13 minimum wage. I mean, we can't have these type of policies and then expect businesses to come in. If we want businesses to be there, we need to lower the regulatory burden on entrepreneurs and also lower taxes.
Right. Okay, so Jamu, we're here to solve the problems, not point fingers. You're bringing in, let me guess, the liberal point of view. What should Detroit do to bail himself out?
So I'll stay away from the pointing of fingers from Jonathan and Michelle and calling these workers parasites who worked and saved.
Should I
call you Mayor? Mayor Bolling?
I don't want to be mayor. We're all the city council.
We're all the city council.
We're all equal here. But here's the point. They're making positive recommendations.
Yes, I've got a very positive one.
Let's do it.
We go to the federal government and we say, 11 million undocumented immigrants in this country who are aspiring citizens. Let's give them a program that fast tracks their citizenship if they move into Detroit. Detroit already has one of the most diverse immigrant populations, and they are revitalizing the communities that they're in ways that are absolutely necessary. When you have first-generation Americans move into cities, crime goes down. We've seen that in Brooklyn. Philadelphia has benefited from this, and they'll buy those homes.
I'll be honest with you.
Get rid of the gangs and the squatters, immigrants.
Hold on, Michelle. Don't jump down the throat. This is a city council. We have to work together to solve the problems. Wayne, Jamu points out, fast-track immigration to a city that frankly needs bodies right now. They need a tax base.
Eric, that's not going to do it. Look, Detroit is a microcosm of what could happen to the entire United States. The fundamental part of this is that they have destroyed the inner city. You have a 47% illiteracy, functional illiteracy rate among adults in Detroit. You've allowed everybody in the world to vote for people who don't care. They've overtaxed. They've looted the city. Now, the way to cure this is, Jonathan is right about his second one, which I like best. Privatize everything. Privatize, take that art collection, which is $3 billion, $3 billion, big number.
Right.
Then take all, privatize the fire department, privatize the police department, privatize everything, make them responsible, cut the budget down to what it can do, and then go forward.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, and I'll even actually take it one step further, Wayne. I mean, privatize the land, privatize Detroit. I mean, Eric, you pointed out, this is a city that only has 700,000 people in it now. You've got hundreds and hundreds of uninhabited acreage. Sell that to the villages. Sell that to the people who put up Celebration Florida. And let a private enterprise handle the infrastructure, the police, the fire, all those elements. Make it a low-tax, low-regulation zone. I'm telling you, it will thrive.
Maybe, guys, maybe not necessarily privatize the full fire department and the full police department, all the public safety issues, maybe just a portion of it. Maybe sell some of the land. I think it's 140 square acres of land that some of it could actually be, sold off to private equity firms.
Yep.
Michelle Fields, let's talk about this for a second. Dallas versus Detroit. Dallas has about the same budget that Detroit has, and Dallas has 1.225 million residents, where Detroit only has 700,000. Are we talking overtaxing the people of Detroit?
Exactly. The problem isn't that there aren't enough people, that there aren't enough bodies, which is what Jamu is saying. There's a reason why there aren't bodies there. It's because Detroit has the highest taxes in anywhere in Michigan. I mean, they pay so much money. That is driving people out. Why are you going to stay in Detroit when you can go to neighboring areas and pay less taxes? The problem is not enough people. That's the symptom of the problem.
Jamu?
Yeah. Well, one of the biggest issues is the corporate tax welfare that has helped to bankrupt the city. So you've got now retirees who worked and saved, and they're about to lose that $19,000 a year pension that is theirs. They're about to have that stolen from them. Yet at the same time, we're going to build a $233 million stadium.
Solutions.
We've got to get rid of the corporate tax welfare system.
So
as
increase
well.
tax. So you're voting for. Hold on, guys. You're talking about increasing corporate taxes.
I think that there has to be a balance, and Detroit has not had that balance when it comes to providing welfare for the largest corporations. President Obama, in that opening clip, he said, we're not going to let Detroit go bankrupt. It wasn't the city. It was actually just the companies.
John,
that was all the federal bailout.
Hang in there, my man. I got to get to Wayne. I want to ask Wayne. Wayne, Jamu says raise corporate taxes. Has that ever worked anywhere?
No, it hasn't, and it's idiotic, and that's part of the problem right now. They've driven all of the private enterprise out of Detroit, so they've driven out the jobs. So let me come back to something. You said talking about privatizing. Let me tell you, a few years ago, the city of Scottsdale, Arizona, privatized completely their fire department. Their rates went down, and they were listed as one of the highest and best fire risks in the United States. You can privatize the entire city. Jonathan is right in that respect. I don't care what you do. Make it all private. That's the best thing to do, and that'll stop this.
I mean, Eric, when things are owned by the public, they're owned by no one. And that's why all of these public utilities and services in Detroit are literally going to hell. Have a private developer put up condominiums, put up residential, put up commercial, take responsibility. And I tell you, if you make it a no property and no income tax zone, people can just pay an assessment, as again they do in Celebration, as they do in the villages. You can really see this thrive.
A lot of cities, guys, we have to leave it there. A lot of cities in Texas with no income tax in their city doing a lot better. Also, I misspoke earlier. I said 139 square acres. I meant to say 139 square miles. A very, very large city. We're going to leave it there.